Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped, and we've got a very exciting episode today. The NHL season begins this very day, and today we're going to talk about some guys that you can pick up for week 1 of the season to help you a little bit. Now, whether it be you drafted guys like David Pastrnak or Tyler Seguin and need an IR fill-in for them, or you just drafted a couple guys that you're not so high on anymore, well, you've come to the right place. I'm going to give you some guys that you can pick up for week 1 that'll be excellent streamers. The first thing I want to talk about is the week 1 schedule for each team. Now, there are 3 teams that have a very unfavorable schedule. Starting with the Dallas Stars, and it's looking like they're only going to play 3 games this week due to coronavirus concerns. So if you're looking for a player to stream for the week, a player from Dallas is not a player that you'll want to grab due to the very low amount of games. Same thing with Florida and Calgary. Both of those teams only have 4 games scheduled for the first week. Florida got 2 games canceled because of Dallas, and Calgary, they just had an unfavorable schedule to begin with. So if you're going to stream someone, don't stream a Calgary player, don't stream a Florida player. Now, to begin the season this week, there are 3 teams with very favorable schedules. These 3 teams all play 7 games this week. Those teams are Edmonton, Toronto, and Vancouver. So if you want to stream a player, I strongly suggest that you grab a player from one of these 3 teams. And we're going to talk about some options from these 3 teams. Alright guys, so let's jump into forward options, and the way we're going to be talking about this is guys who are under 50% owned. First on this list is Josh Anderson, who is 49% owned, so he just squeaked into the list, and I think he's going to have a great season in Bangers leagues. He's a guy that I think you can actually hold for a while, not just for this week. I think he's going to hit a lot, and I think he's going to have some great point production alongside Nick Suzuki and Jonathan Drouin, since they had such good chemistry last year in the playoffs. Next on this list, guys, is Dylan Strome, only 39% owned. He has 6 games this week, and he is Chicago's basically their only centerman right now. If he is still available, you have to grab him because he's playing top line minutes with Patrick Kane and top power play minutes with Patrick Kane. Go out and grab him right now if he is still available. Next on the list is Anthony Duclair, who only plays 4 games this week, but Florida does not play till Sunday, so you can stream someone for a few days before Sunday and then grab Anthony Duclair and get those 4 games afterwards. Why am I recommending Anthony Duclair so highly? Well, he's playing top line minutes with Sasha Barkov, and he's on that top power play as well. So his numbers are bound to be pretty good this year, so if you have a chance to grab him off your waiver wire, do so right now. Next on the list, guys, are New York Rangers right wingers Kaapo Kakko and Pavel Buchnevich, who are 34 and 21% owned right now. Now, they don't have the most favorable schedule for week 1 since they only play 5 games, but I think both Kakko and Buchnevich are guys that you can grab now and hold on to for a long time. They play on Panarin and Zibanejad's lines respectively, and they're going to be getting second power play time as well, which is not too bad. I think these guys were really good sleepers in fantasy drafts, and I think you absolutely should grab them if you have a chance to in free agency. Next on this list, guys, is Alex Killorn, and he's 32% owned right now. Now, I don't absolutely love Killorn, but I think he makes a very good streamer if you want to stream him for today's game and for Friday's game. They play Chicago twice, and Killorn's playing on that top power play. Chicago doesn't really have a very good goalie right now, so I think Tampa Bay is going to light them up. I think Killorn makes an excellent addition if you want to stream him just for those 2 games. Next is Kevin Hayes, and he's getting some second line time and some top power play time, so he makes a good addition if you need a center. Same with Dano, he's going to be playing top line minutes for Montreal, so he's another guy in this range. That's not a terrible add if you need a centerman. Next is Tyler Bertuzzi, guys. He's 29% owned. He's going to get top line time. He's going to get top power play time. So if you want to stream him for the first week, not a bad idea at all. Next on this list, guys, is Jumbo Joe Thornton, currently only 24% owned. But I really like this pick particularly. He's one guy that I'm personally grabbing. Joe Thornton is currently playing on the top line with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, and he's also playing on the top power play with those 2 guys. Right now in Yahoo Pools, he's only eligible as a center, but he's playing left wing right now on that top line, so Yahoo should give him left wing eligibility pretty soon, making him even more valuable. I absolutely love grabbing Joe Thornton this week, not only because he's getting time with top guys, but because the Leafs play 7 games in week 1. Go ahead and grab Joe Thornton. Not a bad idea at all. Next on this list is Brandon Saad, currently 22% owned, and he's really a guy that you're going to grab if you want to get a piece of that Colorado offense. It remains to be seen if he's going to get any power play time, but right now he's practicing on the second line with Landeskog and Kadri. That's a pretty good line, so if you want to get a piece of that Colorado offense, go ahead and grab Saad. See how he does for the first week. He's got 6 games. Pretty good. Go ahead and grab him. Next on this list, guys, is Vincent Trocheck, and the reason he's there is because he's currently practicing on that top power play with Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen, and Dougie Hamilton. So, he's definitely worth a streamer to see how he does. Next on this list, guys, is Jonathan Drouin, and I think he's primed to have a really good season this year, playing alongside Nick Suzuki and Josh Anderson. Next on the list, guys, is Robert Thomas, currently only 18% owned in Yahoo pools. He's currently playing alongside Jaden Schwartz and Mike Hoffman. And to me, he has very similar fantasy value to Jaden Schwartz because neither of them are getting first power play time. But he should still be pretty valuable 5-on-5 and makes a pretty interesting sleeper ad. Next on the list, guys, is Tanner Pearson, currently playing on the second line with Bo Horvat and Nils Hoglander. That's a pretty good spot to be on right now, and I'm not necessarily suggesting grabbing Pearson and running with him the entire season, but this week, he's got 7 games, so why not stream him? Next on the list, guys, is Jack Studnicka, only 15% owned as well. Right now, he's only eligible as a centerman, but that should change because he is playing on the right wing next to Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand while David Pastrnak is injured. He's going to have a really great opportunity playing there because everybody knows that Boston's top line is super deadly. Next on the list, guys, is Nils Hoglander, only 7% owned. And he's currently playing alongside Pearson and Horvat. And right now, JT Miller is slated to miss a little bit of time, putting him also on that top power play. If you want to stream him, now is the most perfect time to do so because not only is he getting that top power play time, Vancouver's got 7 games in the first week of the fantasy season. Not only that, but Hoglander should be gaining right wing eligibility quite soon. And if he looks really good during this first week of the season, he might be a guy that you're able to hold on to for the entire year. Next on my list, guys, currently only 7% owned is Dominic Cahoon, and he's currently playing on that second line with Leon Draisaitl and Kailer Yamamoto. That's a pretty deadly line, so I don't mind grabbing a piece of it at all, especially for this week when the Oilers play 7 games. Now, if Cahoon's already taken and you really want a piece of the Oilers lineup for this week, Zach Kassian is currently playing alongside Connor McDavid, and he's only owned in 15% of leagues. I would not, however, recommend Jesse Puljujarvi at this time because he's only playing on that third line. Last but not least, and this one's kind of a speculative ad, at 7% owned is Mikhail Grigorenko, and right now he's slated to begin the season on that top line with Pierre-Luc Dubois. Grigorenko is fresh out of the KHL and he looked pretty good there, so Columbus is giving him a real opportunity to show what he can do in the NHL. If he produces, he might stay on that top line, so he might be worth the ad. Personally, I'm going to wait and see. And if he looks good, I might scoop him up. Another guy to keep an eye out for, currently only 2% owned, is Tage Thompson. And he's currently practicing on the top line of Buffalo with Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel. So that's definitely a guy, if you don't want to scoop him up right away, you might want to keep an eye out for him. Because if he plays well game 1, he's probably going to be scooped up. So keep a close eye on him. Alright, so let's move on to some defensemen that you can scoop up this week. And first on my list is Matt Grzelcyk, currently 44% owned. And I'm not sure how he's not over 50% owned because Boston recently did announce that Grzelcyk would be their top power play defenseman on a power play with Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron. So Matt Grzelcyk should absolutely be owned in over 50% of leagues. If he's still available in your league, grab him because he has some serious fantasy value. Next on this list is Alexander Edler, currently 42% owned, and he's mostly on this list because this week he plays 7 games. And now I don't expect Alexander Edler to get a whole lot of points, but if you're in a league that includes block shots, you absolutely want Alexander Edler because he is a shot blocking machine. Next is PK Subban, currently 37% owned, and he's New Jersey's top defenseman still. They're still using him on that top power play. So if you think he can have a bounce back season, you absolutely should grab him and hope for the best. Next on this list is Devin Taves, currently 30% owned. And I wasn't initially super high on Devin Taves, but now that I see that he is playing on that second power play and he's also Cale Makar's defensive partner, I like him a lot better. I absolutely do not mind grabbing Devin Taves. Next is Filip Hronek, currently 28% owned, and he is Detroit's #1 defenseman. He should be getting lots of power play time, lots of ice time. If you're in a league that includes plus minus, maybe don't grab Hronek because he's going to be a pretty heavy minus player again, in all likelihood. Next is Alex Martinez, only 11% owned, and he's currently playing on Vegas' second power play alongside guys like Alex Pietrangelo and Alex Tuch. It's a pretty strong second power play, so they should get a good amount of power play time. I absolutely don't mind grabbing Alex Martinez at all. Next is my must-add of the video, and that's Adam Boqvist, only 10% owned, and Chicago announced that they would be using him on their top power play. And yeah, Chicago's not the greatest team in the world, but their top power play should be quite deadly with guys like Patrick Kane, Dylan Strome, Alex DeBrincat, and now Adam Boqvist. You absolutely should add Adam Boqvist if he is still on your waiver wire, and drop Duncan Keith if you have him. So next on this list, guys, currently only 8% owned is Alexander Romanov, and he's currently manning Montreal's second power play. Montreal doesn't really have a 1 and a 2 power play. They have 2 really good power plays. On that second power play, we've got guys like Gallagher, Tatar, Kotkaniemi, Josh Anderson. It's a pretty good power play. I think both power plays are going to be getting a good amount of time, so I think Romanov is a very viable fantasy option. Next on this list, guys, is Rasmus Andersson. And if he's available, I wouldn't really grab him right away because Calgary's schedule this week kind of sucks. So wait and see, because they said that Rasmus Andersson might get that top power play spot. If he does get that top power play spot, he merits an ad. Otherwise, I'll pass on him. And last but not least on this list, guys, is Danny DeKeyser, currently 0% owned. But right now, Detroit has him manning their top power play. So if you are desperate and you need someone that could probably get you some power play points, Danny DeKeyser isn't the worst option in the world until they take him off that top power play. All right, now really quickly, we're going to run through some goaltender options for week 1. My first option, currently 48% owned, is Mikko Koskinen. And Edmonton is a pretty good team this year. They should be able to get quite a few wins. And in week 1, Edmonton has 7 games on the schedule, and I think Mikko Koskinen will start at least 4 of them. If he is still on your waiver wire, you go out and you grab him. Next on this list, guys, is Matt Murray, who's currently 47% owned, and I think Ottawa is a better team than a lot of people give him credit for. Just like Mikko Koskinen, Matt Murray is a pretty good streamer for the entire season. Next on this list, guys, is Cam Talbot, currently 44% owned. And with the news that Stalock is going to be out probably the entire season, Talbot's stock really skyrocketed. He's another pretty good goalie that you can hold on to for the entire season. Next is Linus Ullmark, and I think he's also going to have a really good season, and I think he's also locked in as Buffalo's #1 goalie. I think in the first week of the season, he'll start 4 out of Buffalo's 6 games, only because there are 2 back-to-backs, so Carter Hutton will get those 2 games. Next on this list, guys, is Pekka Rinne, currently only 21% owned. And I think a lot of people forgot that Pekka Rinne was Nashville's starting goalie last year. Saros kind of only took over in the playoffs. So I still think that Pekka Rinne gets a good half of Nashville's starts this year. I expect him to start 3 out of Nashville's 6 games in week 1. Next on this list, guys, is Jonathan Quick, only 18% owned, and he's also LA's starting goalie. I think LA is also a much improved team this year, so Jonathan Quick should see a few more wins than he did last year. He's not my favorite goalie to stream though this week because he has a pretty tough schedule. You can stream him for the first couple of games because he plays Minnesota twice, but after that he plays Colorado twice and then St. Louis twice. I'd rather avoid him if you can for those games. Next on this list, guys, is Carter Hutton, and I really like adding Carter Hutton because he has a chance of being Buffalo's #1 goalie, although I think Ullmark kind of has that in the bag. But Buffalo has 2 back-to-backs right away to start the season. They have Thursday, Friday back-to-back, and they have a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. So if you want to add Carter Hutton and hold them for those back-to-backs, if Carter Hutton ends up outplaying Linus Ullmark, he could actually have the starting job. So it's definitely not a bad idea to stream Carter Hutton, even just for the back-to-back. Last but not least, guys, is Chris Driedger. They've already announced that Sergei Bobrovsky won't be available for the opener. So for any of you that drafted Bobrovsky, you absolutely have to go and grab Chris Driedger. He'll get at the very least the first start of the season and maybe a few more starts after that. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I really appreciate you watching all the way through. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Let me know how I can improve these videos. Until next time guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.